You've probably heard about it in the news. Every 3 years, these international school rankings drop, and suddenly everyone's talking about them. That's PISA. And its results, they can literally shape national policy from one side of the globe to the other. So today, we're going to decode what's really going on inside the world's biggest test. I mean, just think about that question for a second. How on earth do you fairly grade the school systems of dozens and dozens of countries, with all their different languages, cultures, and curriculums, using a single standardized test? It sounds kind of impossible, right? Well, that is exactly what PISA tries to do. So, the easiest way to think about PISA is as a global report card. But here's the twist. It's not grading individual students. Nope, it's grading entire countries on how well they're actually preparing their young people for the real world. All right, so what is this thing? Let's get into the specifics of what this massive test is all about and who's running the show. Okay, so PISA officially stands for the Program for International Student Assessment, and it's run by the OECD. That's the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Now, that name gives you a huge clue about its real purpose. This isn't just about school. It's about seeing how education fuels the economies of the future. And the way it's designed is incredibly smart. First, it targets 15-year-olds specifically, because that's right when most of them are about to finish their required schooling. It happens every 3 years, which is the perfect rhythm for tracking trends. But the most important piece, PISA doesn't care about memorizing dates. It's all about measuring how students can apply what they know to real-world situations, which gives us data you can actually compare across borders. So, how does this whole global machine actually operate? Well, the secret sauce is really in its 3-year cycle, which has a very clever twist. See, while the test happens every 3 years, they're not asking the exact same questions with the same focus each time. That would be way too much. Instead, to get a really deep analysis without making the test a million hours long, PISA rotates its main area of focus. And you can see that rotation in action right here. This lets them do a real deep dive on one core subject, what they call a major domain, each time the test is given. You can see how that spotlight has moved over the years between reading, math, and science. And hey, looks like science is up again for a big close-up in 2025. This whole major versus minor system is just super efficient. The major domain gets all the attention. It takes up about half the total test time. But at the same time, the other subjects are still being tested, just, more lightly. This gives the OECD all the data it needs to track those crucial long-term trends without totally overwhelming the students. Okay, but here's what really, really separates PISA from the kind of tests you and I took in school. It's not about what you can remember. It's all about what you can do with what you know. This quote from the OECD says it all, really. PISA is not going to ask you to just spit back the definition of photosynthesis. No way. It's going to show you data about a forest and ask you to figure out why one part of it might be healthier than another. It's all about solving messy, real-life problems. And to make sure it's staying ahead of the curve, PISA also throws in a new, innovative domain to test each cycle. Back in 2022, it was creative thinking. And coming up in 2025, it's learning in the digital world. This just goes to show you, PISA isn't just testing for the skills we need today. It's actively trying to figure out what skills are going to matter tomorrow. So that brings us to the big question. Why does this test matter so much? Why do world leaders and news channels hang on every single word of these reports? Well, the answer comes down to one word: scale. Let's rewind for a moment when PISA first launched way back in the year 2000. It started out with just 32 countries. I mean, that's pretty ambitious, but it was a relatively quiet start for what was about to happen. Because then this happened. By 2022, that number had absolutely exploded to 81 countries and economies. That incredible growth, right there, is the real source of PISA's power and its influence. Because so many countries take part, PISA has basically become the unofficial Olympics of education. It's the global benchmark. It tells countries where they really stand on the world stage, and more often than not, it's the wake-up call that forces governments to ask some really tough questions and push for serious change. So, as PISA just keeps evolving, trying to measure the skills we'll all need for a pretty uncertain future, the big question is still out there. What is the world's report card going to teach us next?